Hey kids, welcome back to Uncle Fezzi's Body Shop of Bad Decisions, also known as Delco INEOS Upgraders. What am I doing now? Now, this isn't really a video about the Grenadier or the Quartermaster or the vehicle at all. This has to do with the valve stems. Let's face facts, kids. Uncle Fezzi's getting old, and his fingers don't work as well as they used to. And I'm having trouble seeing. So one of the things that you have to do when you drive out on the beach is you have to air your tires down. Well, I know it sounds a little bit silly because, well, it just is. But the other day when I drove out on the beach, I dropped one of these. This is the factory valve stem cap for pretty much, it's standard size valve stem cap. My Dakota, I actually didn't have a TPMS system. So I had put oversized valve stem caps on it that had a tire pressure sensor in them. It was real simple. You just screwed it on and it either flipped red or green depending on whether or not you had air in the tire. And they were preset for like 38 PSI. They were really cool, but I just let them go with the truck because they were getting old. But they were big. They were about that big. And they were metal and plastic, and they were easy to get on and off. Well, not for nothing, these things are tiny, and they're gray, and you drop them in the sand-filled parking lot, you know, it's just, one of them ran away on me, and of course it went underneath the tire, and I had trouble getting it out. And I had an old man moment. So, a friend of mine asked me, like 2 years ago, or a year ago, when I got my 3D printer, could I print him some Darth Vader valve caps? And I was like, he sent me the file, and I printed them out, and they worked perfectly. So yesterday, after I came home from the beach, I had an epiphany. I have a 3D printer, and I have learned how to use Fusion. So why not print my own valve caps? Now, these are obviously exponentially larger than the originals. They don't weigh anything. They're not going to throw the tire balance off or anything stupid like that. So I modeled them in Fusion, printed them out. These are printed out of ASA, which is the strongest material that I can print on my printer and still get it to work properly. And damn if they don't work. I modeled the thread, which is a 5/16-32 in Fusion, and it actually modeled the thread. Now, I didn't print this in superfine. I just printed it in standard. It should be fine. But what I did have to do, because my truck is metric, and the metric threads for valve stems are very, very, very close to the standard. And they're metal. So these are actually all metal. So what did I do? Well, not only... Uncle Fezzi's got problems with his fingers too. So that's the other reason I printed these. So I wasn't fumbling with them. And I went to a surgeon, they want to cut me, and you know what, I'll just deal with the tingly fingers. So when I went to go thread these on, I had a little trouble because I used this as my test one, and now by hand they thread on perfectly. I mean, they thread on the same way as the other ones. Nice and easy. But when I went to go thread them onto my truck, because metric system, they didn't fit as well as I would have liked them to. So what did I do? Because I didn't want to grab onto these with a pair of pliers because then I damage them, right? Even if you wrap the pliers in tape, you damage them. How do I know this? Well, I damaged one. So I go back into Fusion and I printed a tool to install them with. So I went into Fusion. I projected one of the sketches into a new file, and I printed out the negative. And then when I printed the negative, when I extruded it, I added a little bit of draft angle to it, and ta-da! Now I have a tool to install and remove the valve caps with in case they're tight, because they can be tight. You want them tight. You don't want them to fall off. That's also why I didn't put wings on these, because I thought about doing that too. But I like these. They have a nice nice knurl on them. They're easy to grip. And they're much larger. You know, so when I drop them in the sand parking lot, I can see them, and hopefully they won't roll away as quickly as the other ones did. And then most likely, not only will these roll, they'll bounce and then roll directly underneath the truck. Because why wouldn't they? Now, the other thing is, I could have bought like really fancy cast aluminum or, you know, machined CNC aluminum ones from a couple different outfitters. Why didn't I buy those? Real simple. Galvanic corrosion. The Toyota had a problem with it for a long time, and a couple other manufacturers have had the same issue. They got smarmy and started producing metal valve caps. And well, what happens is you have a metal valve cap. This is actually a valve stem puller. It's part of my kit. Part of my kit. What happens is you get, if in the sand or if it gets a little salt water on it, with the TPMS, what'll happen is the valve cap itself will corrode onto the valve stem, and it doesn't take long, and then when you go to take the valve cap off, you'll snap the valve stem. Usually it'll snap, and it won't show up on camera, but there's a little Schrader valve inside of here. Usually what'll happen when they snap is they'll break right there at that valve, right there, exposing the little pushy thing, and then you're really fucked, because then you can't put a valve cap on it at all. You drive on the beach, you get a little sand in it, you go to fill your tires back up, then you have a little tiny piece of sand in your Schrader valve, and you lose air driving down the road. Voice of experience. So let's I'll go take a look real quick and show the tacky, oversized valve caps. But this is why I bought a 3D printer. I guess that's the whole point of this video. This is why I bought a 3D printer. So here we are out at the truck, and here's my tool. There's my valve cap. Yes, I know it's absurdly large, but that slides right on, and the old man can just quickly and easily unscrew them. Over time, the threads will work their way in, so then I won't need the tool. But that fits right on there. Zing zang, biggity boop. And I have my oversized valve caps. I know I could have went with the dice style or, you know, any other types, but I have a 3D printer. Why not do that? Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. I don't know, I won't be sharing that file because I don't want some dickhead to screw these on and then snap them off and then fuck up their valve stem and then blame me, because experience has taught me that no matter how easily or how simply I design something, somebody will figure out a way to fuck it up. Because I've lost all faith in humanity. Thanks for watching, and be sure to buy my book, Love Letters, volumes 1 through 5. Book 5 will be ready shortly, as soon as my buddy's done proofreading my blatant typos.